Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second part of my top 50 albums of 2017. Now, I'm not going to go into a long introduction. If you would like to see my introduction on this, as well as the first part, of course, I'll put a link to it in the description. But for now, just two quick things. Of course, I'm only limiting myself to CDs I listened to this year. And Also, this is my list, of course, so it's my personal feelings, my personal opinions on certain things. If you don't like a certain placement or wish that something was there, or have even a recommendation for a CD that I should listen to, feel free to let me know in the comments. But please be courteous. This is my opinions, and that's all I'm asking. So, without further ado, let's get back to number 40, and that one is Lindsay Buckingham and Christine McVie with their CD self-titled Lindsay Buckingham and Christine McVie. Now, for those of you who don't know who those two people are, both of them are members of Fleetwood Mac. And actually, 4 out of the 5 people in the lineup of Fleetwood Mac are on this CD. It just so happens that those two are the centerpiece of this band. This is the closest that we get to a Fleetwood Mac reunion without unfortunately having it. Stevie Nicks is not in this CD, but on its own is still a really good CD. It doesn't necessarily it doesn't replace Rumors as the go-to CD for them, but it's still very well made. Has a little bit of a modern sound to it, and very solid CD without going too far one way or another. And it doesn't necessarily sound like a cliche, like old group trying to get back together and trying to do something new. It does have its place in music without, oh, these are all older people that we should all know, so that's why we're listening to it. No, it has some musical merit. So I personally like it. I personally like Sleeping Around the Corner. In My World is a great song as well. Lay It Down for Free. All in all, very solid without necessarily 1 or 2 bad songs. It just doesn't do enough for me to push it higher. Number 39 is Dark Matter by Randy Newman. Uh, Now, I've personally never listened to a Randy Newman CD before, uh, so I had not really any idea of what I'm getting myself into, though I do know that there are a lot of Randy Newman music jokes out there, so just seeing what it would happen when I listened to it. And I personally liked it. He's not the greatest musician, but he comes up with a lot of really cool concepts and really cool dialogues in his songs. Um, just like off the top of my head, like even at the beginning of it, we have The Great Debate, which is a satirical song about science versus the church, and actually like jury setting. They're having a trial, and it's pretty funny. It doesn't overstay its welcome in terms of the idea. I think it's really clever. And then we even have a song called Brothers, which is talking about like president and vice president before the Cuban Missile Crisis. And it's another really funny one. And then you got Putin, which it's exactly what you think it is. It's a song about Putin, Vladimir Putin to be exact, and another tongue-in-cheek song. But from there, he even weaves in other feels. I mean, you have the next song, "Lost Without You," talking about the death of his beloved wife, and it goes into imagery, beautiful imagery, sad imagery, but the way that he talks about his wife in general is very heartfelt, and you can definitely hear it. And not many writers that I've heard go in it are so great at talking about that stuff in general, or give it the right imagery like he does. Each one of his songs feels like a different entity, and it works. Unfortunately, the latter half of the CD isn't as good, and like I said, sometimes the music is weird. But like even Sonny Boy. Sonny Boy is the story about Sonny Boy Williamson, a blues artist who lost his life and then someone else took his name. All these fascinating songs under one roof. So awesome CD, just not as strong as others. So now we're at 38, and 38 is, I want to hopefully say this right, SZA, uh, her self-titled, her first album, Control. SZA is a R&B artist, and this is her first outing of her own stuff, and it's really, really solid. I personally like it because there isn't any cliched beats or anything like that in her music. Every song feels like its own entity, and a lot of interesting songs from the get-go. For example, Drew Barrymore, Prom, The Weeknd, Broken Clocks, Normal Girl, Pretty Little Birds, 20 Something, all these songs stand out to me. But unfortunately, it's not as strong as some of the other um, popular albums out there, in my opinion, this year. Still a great CD to listen to, and if you're into R&B, definitely take a look into it. Personally, it does not crack my top half of the list, but it's still a worthwhile CD to listen to. So now we're on to 37, and 37 is Chronology by Chronix. Um, this is such a feel-good album. Um, for those who don't know, Chronix is also a newer artist on the scene. He is a reggae artist, and it's just from the beginning to the end, just a lot of feel-good music on it. It does delve with a lot of different topics. Some of them happy, some of them sad, of course, but such good music. He's such a good singer. And I personally don't listen to a lot of reggae, but this one stuck with me. I'll definitely be listening to it over and over again over the months because it is a good, just if you need to feel good, pop it in. It's really good. Number 36, this is going to be a surprise for some people, is LCD Sound System's American Dream. Now, I know this CD is getting so much publicity, so much good publicity, so much accolade, and I do like it. I'm not dissing the album. Um, I know it's lower on my list than some other people. Just for me, I didn't necessarily, it didn't, uh, it didn't grasp me the way that it did for other people. There are a lot of songs I like on there. Tonight is my favorite, and I love the satirical idea of talking about, well, this is how we create our music, but this song is for you, and you know who you are, and I love just that idea. It's very catchy and just a satirical song about the music industry. I love that idea. Um, but there also are some songs in there that I just personally can't that don't mesh with me. Like "How Do You Sleep" is the longest song, well, one of the longest songs in the album, and to me it doesn't really do much. "Black Screen" again, another long one that just doesn't do much for me either. But there's also some really good stuff on there. "Call the Police," "American Dream," "Emotional Haircut," "Oh Baby" at the beginning. It's a great party album that makes fun of party albums, and I personally like that. But again, just didn't I didn't dive into it as much as some of the other ones, so it's a little bit lower on my list. Number 35 is "Who Built the Moon" by Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. So if you know the band Oasis, you know that there are two brothers who are the mainstays of Oasis. You had Liam Gallagher and Noel Gallagher. Now, Oasis has been broken up for years now, uh, but they broke off into their own separate things. And actually, funny enough, they both put out albums this year that came out not too far from each other. And you will see the other one a little bit later on this list. But for now, we're going to talk about Noel Gallagher's CD. It's a good CD. It has a different feel from his brothers. It's a more psychedelic rock kind of feel with a little bit of funk in it. And it has a lot of great songs on it. Starts well with Fort Knox, an instrumental. Does really, really nice. Keep On Reaching is just a fun song. Be Careful What You Wish For. Black and White Sunshine are, again, two of my other favorites. But in terms of comparing it to his brothers and comparing it to the other ones on there, there are some weaker stuff on this album. So the cohesiveness on it isn't great as compared to others. I actually had this up much higher, and then as I listened to this album again, I kept pushing it down and down for other CDs that you'll see eventually. Still, fun psychedelic rock CD. If you're looking for that type of vibe, this is a good CD. Number 34 is La Kaya by Sowon. So this is another CD that my brother recommended to me. And for those who don't know Sowon is a metal supergroup with members from Testament, from OPEF, and some other places. And they have been around since 2012, and this is their third album. The best way I can compare it is it has a lot of a Tool or a Perfect Circle kind of feel, but their first two albums were a little bit on the lighter side of that. And for a while, I've been waiting for more and more. Just give me something heavier. Give me something that feels completely like Tool. And this is the closest one you're going to get to that. If you've been missing your Tool kick and you've been looking for something new, this is a CD worth your time. Just it may take a couple times for someone to actually feel like this is a good CD. May take a couple times to listen through to get a good feel of it. Personally, this is one of the hardest CDs for me to gauge because I listened to it so many different times, and so many different times I didn't finish it, and I just felt like it's all right, but like eventually I got into it, and it has a lot of really cool sounds. Unfortunately, the drawback for me is again that, but also a lot of the songs do sound very similar. The first two songs sound the same for a very long time. Like I could only remember one song from the album. Now I'm starting to get to a place where I can remember 4 or 5, but there will be that overlap of am I remembering this song or am I remembering this song? So there is that, and that's why I had to drop it a little bit. Each song is great on its own, but there's too much repetitive nature of these songs. We're on to number 33, and that is Trivium's The Sin in a Sentence. Trivium is another band that my brother has been trying to get me into for years. I started them with Vengeance Falls, and I did not like that CD. Then they had another CD after that called Silence in the Snow. Not bad, but very pop metal, if you would. So I liked it, but it was hugely panned. And then this one comes out, The Sin in the Sentence, and it starts awesome. A lot of really killer songs from the get-go. The Sin in the Sentence, Beyond Oblivion, Other Worlds, The Heart from Your Hate, Betrayer. All these are really killer songs. And then it does, unfortunately, muddle in the middle. Endless Night is a very poppy metal song. Sever the Hand's a weird one. The Righteousness Inside, it's alright. But it gets back onto it with Beauty and the Sorrow, the Revankist, and Thorns of Fire is not a bad ender. Just that middle part that destroys it from being a truly great CD, truly great metal CD this year. But it is a really good one. Definitely a better CD than last than the last one, and I can't wait to see what else they come up with. Number 32 is Crack Up by Fleet Foxes. So, their CD has a very interesting concept. It's actually a concept, I guess, of an F. Scott Fitzgerald essay of the same name, which I have never read, which may help me understand this CD a little bit more. And maybe I should put it up higher once I actually read the essay. But it is a beautiful, beautiful world that they create with their concepts. It does get a little bit weird at times, just like the way that certain songs blend together. But it is one of the more beautiful CDs this year. So many cool ideas. It's just the concept itself sometimes doesn't work in this album, and that's why I put it lower. I really like the CD. I'm going to listen to it again, and maybe at some point I will say, "Oh my God, I was so wrong about this album." But if you're looking for a beautiful CD, definitely take a look at this one. Fleet Foxes. This is probably their most daring album in terms of musical idea and concept, and I think it does well. Just not as well as some of these others. And finally, for this rest of this video, we go to number 31, and that is Pentatonix Volume 4, The Classics. Now, I know they have put out a Christmas CD, and I don't know if that has Avi on it, but this is the last true album with Avi. And I put this up so high for an EP because of how strong all these songs are. You start with Bohemian Rhapsody, like one of those songs, and they make such an amazing arrangement of it. Then you have Imagine, another beautiful twist on that song. Bugle Boy, the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, another fun one. Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which was another just beautiful arrangement. Take On Me, a great version of that. I mean, it's friggin' Take On Me. It was a beautiful and amazing arrangement of it. Then you have probably the best song on there, Can't Help Falling in Love. Just beautiful, kind of like a hide and seek-esque kind of song. And it just works so well. The only downside I would say is Jolene as a last song isn't great, and some of these songs have already been like out in 2016, so people already knew about them. But in general, I put this up so high because of how just creative they are. They're taking those songs and they're making them their own in such a great way, and there's not a bad song. I just can't put it higher because it's not original stuff. But a hell of a send-off for the original Pentatonix, and I can't wait to see what happens next. But that is it for this edition of the top 50 albums of 2017. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy the quicker explanations. Hopefully, I'm giving up more more information that you need. And of course, I'm willing to do full album reviews on some of these at some point in time, just not right now. But if you want to see one of them, please let me know. Until then, of course, like, comment, share, subscribe, share this with your friends, and let me know what CDs made your top 10. And I'll see you next time for part 3 of the top 50 albums. Peace.